Do you know what remote viewing is? It's what a clairvoyant will do, which is using the higher consciousness of our brain. So we're going into the pineal gland of the brain and using that part of the brain to go into a time which we would refer to as past, present, or future. But there is no time when you go, it's like being in a meditation or a trance. There is no such thing as time. So we go to see a vision, and it could be in the past, the present, or the future. But remote viewing is mainly trying to go into the future to a time that hasn't evolved just yet in our time, in human time, and bringing that picture back. Now, you think for a moment, using your brain, if you have a vision, let's say as an example, you had a vision of a corner, a busy corner. You could see a lolly shop on the corner, you could see a van outside, you could see a man standing on the van, you could see people running, and that's what you've got in a picture in your mind. It's like a movie in your mind. You've got to work out where you are, what the hell's going on. That's up to the human part of you, is trying to work out what the vision means. And then you, as a clairvoyant, that's what your role is to work out what that vision means. So you bring the vision back and you share it with people. And then later on, when it unfolds, a picture will happen like that. And you'll see all the details that were in the picture, the shops there, the lolly shops there, the vans there, there's people running. And then when a news story breaks, you understand what the picture was for. It's like that time I had a picture of the Black Hawk helicopter with 4 people being killed and somebody going rogue. And that's the only information I could get from it. And they were going to get killed. And then later on in the news, it happened where those 4 men were killed in the Black Hawk helicopter. That is remote viewing. It is extremely difficult to use your brain to do it, because if it was easy, everyone would do it. It's a talent, it's a skill, and it's a practiced skill that a lot of creative people, they practice what they do. So when I go into the future and I get a vision, a remote viewing, and I bring it back, I share it. I don't have to share it, but I share it, because what helps is when I share it and things do unfold, people can see that this is how I work. I'm just showing examples of how I work. If I don't do that, then you have no idea how I work. You've got to buy a reading and then experience how I work personally. But if you're just a curiosity person and you're a bystander and you're just watching, then you're just watching to see what I do. And so you will then comment. This is the bit that always amazes me. When I do a remote viewing, like I did recently, like in 2022, I had a vision of the words rent to buy. Housing situation in Australia with rent to buy. That's what the vision was. It's like I've gone into the future, 3 years ahead, taken a picture that I've seen and brought it back and shared it. Then just this week, the South Australian government announced a rent to buy scheme with housing. I don't get comments. I got one comment, lovely comment from a lovely lady who said, wow, like she was acknowledging it's difficult to do that. She understands the difficulty in taking a picture from the future and bringing it back. All the other comments were, oh yeah, the housing thing's not going to work. Oh, we have to save a deposit. Oh, they're going to control you. I didn't make the decision. I didn't sit in Parliament and make a decision, this is what we're going to do. I'm a messenger. Now, it makes me stop and think, why am I sharing these visions? Like, why bother? One person says, wow, clapping me for, patting me on the back for saying that's really good, and everyone else is just negative. And I think this is what social media is doing to people's brains, and it's not just what I do. I see people, I've changed my algorithm so much so that I just see creative people, right? I don't want to see people arguing with each other. I just want to see the creative stuff. And I saw this lady had an old Victorian home, and she had painted the floors, the wooden floorboards, in crisscross pattern in 2 different colours. And I thought it looked amazing. And because it took her so long, she used her creative thought, she put her effort into it. And comments were like, oh, that looks terrible. Oh, you should have done this. You should have done that. Like, what happened to people? If if you can't say something nice, just shut up. Don't say anything at all. If you've got a constructive comment that adds value, like if someone is on social media and they're asking for advice, then offer the advice. If you have an experience where you can feel like you help them. But when it's constantly, no one asked you to throw negativity into somebody else's page. You're doing that. And this is a reminder that I have said this just recently in another video. What you put out is what you attract. So if you're thinking all the time about complaining stuff, negative stuff, this isn't going to work, I'm sick of being controlled. If you're in that frame of mind, then that is the existence that you are creating, and you are feeding that existence. If you are positive and you focus on all the things that are going right, you feed into that and you create a different existence. And, like Facebook did back in, I think it was 2012, when they targeted 700,000 pages, profiles, and they put, on half of them, they put negative stories, just kept feeding it in amongst all their posts from their friends or whatever. They were throwing in negative stories, negative news stories, just negative stuff. And on the other half, they put positive stories, positive affirmations, to see if they kept doing it, if they could train that person's mind into becoming very negative themselves, and if they would change their posts or become very positive. And after a year of doing it, they started noticing that people that were getting the negative field started commenting negatively on other people, and putting up posts that were doom and gloom, and then on the ones that were on the positive, they started putting positive stories, sharing, humorous things, and making a more positive impact on other people's lives. So it works. Social media is feeding into your brain as to how you comment. So I think for a while now, if I get visions of things, I'm just going to keep it to myself, because you don't get anyone saying, wow, that's really good, I'd like to learn how to do that myself, or that must take a lot of effort from you. Rather, I just get people not even just bypassing the whole effort that remote viewing takes and focusing on the actual what I was seeing, as though I created that. I went to Parliament and made that decision. So, if you imagine a doctor who's doing surgery for 8 hours on minute nerves, joining nerves together, the concentration on his brain. And there are so many jobs out there where people have to really focus and really concentrate, and it is draining. That's what remote viewing is. That's what clairvoyant work is. It is very, very draining on the brain. By the end of the night, my brain just wants to switch off, because it's going into the deepest of deepest trance during the day to go into different time zones. If you do a meditation, a 10-minute meditation, imagine doing a 7-hour meditation, and imagine what your brain would be like when you came out of it. So just think, can I just get people to stop and think? If you read one of my predictions, I don't care if you don't agree with it, but don't shoot me for the outcome, because I didn't make the decision. I'm just the messenger.